Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Danielle, and we're just two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. This week, we're talking about the comedy The New Guy. And we're joined by our Instagram pal, Megan from 1999 Vibes. Welcome,
Hi.
Megan.
Hello.
So happy to be here. Thank y'all for having me.
Super stoked to have you as well. If you guys are still curious about who Megan is, that means you haven't listened to the trailer episode, and you should pause and go back and listen. If not, let's continue. But before we dive in, let's get into some
housekeeping. One day.
If you love the podcast and you want to support us, here are a few ways that you can.
You can become one of our Patreon besties and gain access to exclusive content, including stickers, Ask Me Anythings, polls, bonus videos, live Spotify playlists, and more. Just head to patreon.com/nomorelateFees.
And if money is a little tight, no worries. You can really help us by writing us a review. Did you know writing a review and or rating us helps us get more listeners? Because it does. Let's read the review of the week from Beers with Dad, one of our pals. Really cool podcast. Definitely check it out if you love craft beer. Jackie and Danielle are the best. Facts. They bring such a fun energy and fresh perspective to some of the movies we grew up with. A friendship like this cannot be faked, and it's a blast going along for the ride. Jackie, they have no idea we're faking it.
Oh, I know. We just met on the street and we're like, oh, it was like we were in like a Goodwill and reached for the same movie. And we're like, oh, you like movies? Let's do a podcast together.
Did we just become best friends?
I think so. Thank you to Johnny from Beers with Dad for leaving that really sweet review.
Yes, we love our pod pals. If you want to be featured and help us grow, head to Apple, Spotify, Podchasers, Good Pods, or your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review.
And you can also head on over to nomorelatefees.redbubble.com and scope out our merch.
We got merch, y'all. Merch.
Essentially, not going to lie, free advertising for us. Show off your love for the podcast at the same time. Win. You can get stickers there, all sorts of things.
Jackie says our socks are our best seller.
They are.
Wow.
Ken wore his socks on Saturday. He was very proud. But we also have t-shirts and like regular things you would find a podcast logo on. Also some abnormal things like a backpack or a duffel bag, if you will. Go check us out. See what we got.
Yeah, and you can get a gold chain and get a clock and be Flavor Flav because we got clocks as well. Shout out to our wonderful friend David. He bought 2 shirts for him and our beautiful friend Maru. So very excited about that. I have to get some for his girls.
Love it.
Let's dive into the movie. Let me give you a quick synopsis if you've never heard of the movie. Nerdy high school senior Dizzy Harrison has finally gotten lucky. He has a second chance to be the guy with no past in The New Guy, a hilarious story about wiping the slate clean and reinventing yourself, transforming from a dud to a stud. The language.
I really don't want to say anything unkind about DJ Qualls.
But stud.
Yeah.
I think he's a beautiful human, truly.
Yes.
And his comedic timing great, but stud is not.
I mean, the studs are right here. Am I right, Danielle? And for those who are just listening, I'm pointing to the O'Connell brothers who make a really weird cameo for no reason.
Weird. Can't wait to get into that. Anyways, you know what? Transforming from a dud to a stud at his new school with the help of inmate Luther, geeky Dizzy becomes the cool guy Gil Harris and sets out to destroy the popularity-obsessed social system, boost school morale, and win the heart of Danielle. Not me. Not me.
I was really confused. I'm like, why is your name in the bio? Oh yeah, the character's name is Danielle. There are more than one Danielle in the world.
It's hard to believe, truly. And as we said, the movie stars DJ Qualls, Eliza Dushku, Zooey Deschanel. They're really trying to fuck with me. I'm trying to read it.
You're doing well.
Lyle, Lovett, and Eddie Griffin. Written by David Kendall, directed by Ed Decter. And you can watch it on HBO Max and Amazon. And let me tell you, any of you guys who have an Amazon TV and you use your remote and say, Alexa, show me the new guy, the bitch is lying to you. No.
Swipe down from the top of your screen.
Oh God.
You activated her.
But anywho, if you have it on your TV and it tells you that you can rent it and doesn't show you the other options, it is on HBO Max. Because Jackie called me and said it's not streaming, and I said no, the hell it's not, and I found it on HBO Max. But before we start, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we'll reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial rating. Our scale consists of would buy it again.
The best would play on repeat.
5-day rental.
Would watch again.
2-day rental.
Okay, but nothing to write home about.
And same-day rental.
Trash.
Set it on fire like the statue at the new school.
All right, Megan, we're going to start with you. What would your Y2K self give this movie?
Would buy it again, for sure. Yeah. It's one of my favorite comedies of all time. That's saying a lot about me, but it just is. It just is. It's so wacky and I just love it so much. So yeah.
Jackie?
I'm really sorry, Megan, but I watched this movie once and never again. So I'm going to have to do a same-day rental.
Okay. I can see why people would think that.
I have watched this movie multiple times. I have watched it multiple times. I have actually, when it came on, I just sat and watched. But see, the problem more recently, I watched it, but I only watched the end, up from the championship scene. Yeah. So when I was going back to watch this, I was like, oh, I just rewatched this. This should be a breeze. So I'm gonna say I'm somewhere between a 5-day rental and a 2-day rental of how I felt about it back in the day. I think the problem also is that I'm a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, and my girl Eliza, I love her so much. And I mean, I think so. I loved her before Buffy because I was obsessed with the movie True Lies. Mm-hmm. And I feel so bad that she had such a traumatic experience on the movie, and it makes me not like the movie as much anymore. And I also loved her with Juliette Lewis. That night.
I love that movie. I'm a huge fan of her too. And let me just say, I just figured out that you pronounce her name Dushku.
I've been saying
Dushku this whole time. 30 years. Yeah. So I will admit, I watched the new guy with commentary. I don't think I've ever watched a movie with commentary before, but I was just, looking for facts and stuff. So yeah, that's how you pronounce her name, is Dushku.
Which makes sense because my Kevin Smith trivia coming back, because she was in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. His nickname for her is Duck Shoot because he mispronounced her last name. So that makes more sense.
Yeah. Love her
very much.
I do really adore her. Any scene she was in made me happy.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Well, yeah. Now that you guys have our ratings, we want to know.
Well, Danielle, you didn't. You said between a 5-day and a 2-day.
I thought I could get away with it.
Because I got to put graphics up. And last week you didn't give a rating, so
I didn't.
No.
Do I need to go back and record it or what?
No, I just guessed.
Oh,
Just
okay.
give a reading for
All
this.
right.
damn movie.
It's a 2-day. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And now that you guys you have our rating, we want to know what your Y2K rating is too. So hit us up at No More Late Feeds on social and let us know where it ranks for you. Because you guys usually aren't shy. I get a lot of DMs saying I agree or I'm so mad at you. I'm not talking to you.
It's fair.
So let's get into the box office. This movie had a budget of $13 million. Jesus.
They Missy Ellioted that. They flipped it and reversed it for.
Yeah. I just want to say a lot of the money that they used in this movie was because of the music. All of the music that they used was so iconic that it cost them so much money to use all these songs in this movie.
I'm glad you brought this up. So I made a huge discovery. I'm obsessed now. So this movie, the person who was in charge of the music, because I had to ask, there's a ton of cameos in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, first of all, before I even get into that, we just read it and didn't say anything. The movie made $3.1 million. So it didn't even recoup. I was like, I wrote these notes, right? I wasn't sure, but I know I copied and pasted. I'll double check in a second. But there is a man, his name is Ralph Saul. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but he was in charge of the music in the movie. And this man's career is just like mind-blowing. He did the music for almost every 90s and 2000s movies that we loved.
Nice.
Like Can't Hardly Wait soundtrack, because that was the only thing that was really keeping me grooving in this movie.
Oh yeah,
was the fact there was mystical every 10 seconds.
I think that's why I was so drawn to this movie at such a young age. Like it made me like fall in love with funk music in general, but also just music, you know, like I was jamming out the whole movie.
There's a lot of funk, there's a lot of rap, there is some rock in here. It's a really good mix. But back to Ralph, he helped write Rolling with My Homies for Clueless. Like he helped put the music in for Clueless. He helped write the song that Sugar Ray sings in the Scooby-Doo movie.
Wow.
He helped create the soundtrack for 10 Things I Hate About You, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Mean Girls. If there's not a teen movie that this man did not touch, and it's beyond even just these movies. Speed, Three Kings, like
that's
mind
awesome.
blown that this man exists and the reach he's had. So I think that's probably why we got as many musical artist cameos in here, was because of him. Because I was trying to look at the director and the writer to see if maybe that's why, but I really think it was, I don't know. I could be wrong because
they're just like, how many cameos can we fit into one movie?
Oh my God. Like, I'm like,
type shit.
Is that Gene Simmons?
Yes.
Is that Jermaine Dupri? Like
we have Gene Simmons, we have Jermaine Dupri, we have Vanilla Ice, we have Tommy Lee, Tony Hawk. You know, it's insane. Also,
Silk the Shocker,
Henry Rollins,
David Hasselhoff, Master P,
yes, insane.
Kool D,
like I got chills.
Sands.
I got chills just thinking about it.
Josh Todd from Buckcherry.
Let me just finish the list of cameos. We have Jerry O'Connell, Charlie O'Connell, C Murder. So like the whole No Limit Soldiers were in this damn. You said Jermaine Dupri, MC Gainey, Kyle Gass. I'm hoping I'm saying that right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, I don't know if I missed anybody, but it's so many freaking people.
Yeah, at the end where apparently Luther is just regaling this story to David Hasselhoff.
It's just right.
I don't understand.
Yeah. So crazy. That's why I love the 2000s. Only the 2000s will give you this kind of cinema.
Yes, this is cinema.
The pinnacle of artistic creation.
Exactly.
So like I said, the story is told by Luther. He is still in jail and he's telling it to an unknown person until the end via like the visitor phone at a jail. Luther is played by Eddie Griffith. And so we get the backstory of Dizzy. He's got funk in his soul.
Well, I have a correction. It didn't do as poorly as we just saw.
Okay, good.
Danielle made some clerical errors. This movie made $31.1 million. So they made their money back. This was not an absolute fail.
Yeah.
I would have thought I'm sorry. I thought it was
that
more
was
believable
100%.
at 1.3.
I think this makes sense because, you know, DJ Qualls was coming off of Road Trip. Everybody was like, Eliza 100% at, you know, you had Buffy, you had Bring It On. It makes 100% sense that this would do well.
And I think he was filming Road Trip at the same time, because I found out that when he has long hair in the movie, it's a wig, which I did not know.
Oh.
His long hair is a wig. So the short, like spiky, is his real hair. So yeah, he had to wear the wig because he was, I think, filming the other movie that he was doing.
Oh, well,
Road Trip.
He said the reason he got this movie was because, I guess the producer or the director of another movie he was doing got kind of like a low hush hush release because it was about a bomb on a plane and it literally came out like a few months after 9/11. And so it didn't do well. And he talks about like just how he was kind of struggling from movie to movie, not really making a ton and just really struggling. And the guy that got him this job was from the other movie. And he was saying, if it wasn't for that, I think it's a director or producer, if he didn't get that money from getting this movie, and like the producer actually just gave him money to be able to survive. And when he got offered this movie, he had a choice of like if there was someone he wanted to like bring on or anything like that. And he said Zooey Deschanel because it was like her second or third movie, that movie they were in.
She was such a baby.
Yes.
She was.
She looked so young. So he helped her because they were friends and they were on that other movie that just like didn't go anywhere because of 9/11, which I thought was really sweet.
That is awesome. I still don't understand why they gave her armpit hair.
Like some of the comedic choices that like didn't land in this movie.
Just men.
Yeah. And she did not want it. Like she fought it. She just did not want it. But I don't know why that happened. That was just random.
Honestly, I just think, again, when you're writing female characters from a male perspective, and then, you know, the whole idea of beauty and that women have to be like constantly,
right,
you know, all perfect.
In the 2000s, though, that was something that was considered, I guess, funny. I don't know. Yeah. That's why it just like, I don't know. Even back then, I just didn't think it was that funny.
Yeah. So we see tiny Dizzy, maybe age 8 or 9. He has an afro wig on and he's just, he's dancing by himself in his house.
James
I did
Brown.
write, yes, I did write, I bet this is the best acting in the whole movie. That kid was dancing his ass off.
His name was Matt Pelosi, and in the commentary they talked about his audition and how like they didn't even have to interview anyone else. They just knew right away like this kid he was just super energized. And so yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
And there's a scene that was cut. We see Dizzy's mom and she's like leaving them.
And then he has like this like heart to heart with his dad on the steps.
Oh,
because she's like leaving them or something.
Yeah. Lyle, Lovett. How? Why? How?
I don't know.
I still think back to when Julia Roberts I was like, Julia Roberts say what? She's with who?
No way.
Yeah, they were together.
Well, something that I heard, something that was mentioned was that him and Eliza had some chemistry, like in real life.
Lyle Lovett?
No, not him, DJ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which I was like, what? Because I was like,
But he
Yeah.
was hanging out with like he was in the clubs. He was friends with like Lindsay Lohan, the Olsen twins. Like he was at the height of like the clubbing and stuff. And he was saying that the clubs would get shut down. Like in LA, he said Mondays was this place, Tuesdays was this place, Wednesdays was this place. And it got to a point where they were having raids on some of the clubs because they were asking questions like, how is Lindsay Lohan and Olsen twins, who are completely underage, getting into these clubs? So he kind of had to separate himself from that side of the industry because of like the paparazzi, and he never wanted to rat out on any of his friends or anything like that. So he started to not be friends with actors anymore and just have like a totally separate life. He said he needed to be more grounded. But if you go, it was like at the height of TMZ.
Yeah. So after this scene where it ends with the little boy doing the splits and yelling, I hurt myself.
My husband and I say that way more often than I'd like to admit. But yeah.
So there is some exposition where he just says, or Luther says, he got taller, whiter, and skinnier, which if that doesn't describe DJ Qualls, like
right. I love that he has his core group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we see Zooey Deschanel play one of his friends. I don't know if you guys know who Perry Shen is, but that's one of his other friends. I know him because he's on General Hospital, and also he was in Better Luck Tomorrow. Yeah, which was an all Asian cast movie that came out around 2002, 2003 that I was always really sad that didn't get more attention and recognition, but I always remembered him from that movie, so I was glad to see him in this one.
Cool.
And that there was one more friend,
Gerard something.
Yes,
his name. Yes, he was hilarious and great.
So it is the first day of senior year. Dizzy and his friends are being dropped off at school by his dad. There's this odd scene with like the head cheerleader. I know because she has a designated parking spot that says head cheerleader parking only, and she can't get her car unlocked. And Dizzy's gonna like go over and help her, and his friends are kind of like cockblocking him at first. I'm like, just like if he's got the like balls to go and help her, like
right.
That girl was an asshole.
He's like, it's a new year, new me. I have confidence now. I'm going to help her out. And they're all like, what are you doing?
But he does go over there and he does get it unlocked. I mean, it wasn't a conventional way. He kind of just hits the car or the remote.
He like beats it.
Yeah. And so, but then she's like super rude to him. But and like he's kind of following her, which I was like, dude, like if she's already given off the vibes, like just
she didn't just give vibes. She said, no, you're not my type.
You're not my type. Yeah.
Like end of discussion.
So now we're in the middle of school, like where the stairwells are, like where all of the students have to pass through. And the football douches are like, why are you bothering her? And there's like this whole altercation, and then they point out that Dizzy has a boner because he's been talking to her.
So when he goes in there to talk to her, he's like trying again. She's like, that's not gonna work, but she touches his arm, and when she touches his arm, I think that's what stirs it up. Right. And then the guys call out that he has a boner, and what follows next makes zero sense.
So we find out it's the librarian sitting in a rolly chair, just latches onto his wiener and like won't let go. And he's like, And she's like, I'm taking you to the principal's office for a boner.
But she did, like, she doesn't even just say
It's
that.
just bonkers. Like, it makes no sense,
No
but
sense.
somehow it's still fucking hilarious.
I don't understand. Like, at first I was like, is his boner outside of his pants? Like, what's happening? Why it would be one thing if she mistaken it for something. Like, it was like, why is she full on? First of all, you're an educator,
Right.
touching an underage student's penis
And breaking it.
Yes, because he like spins to get away from her, and like
It like makes a sound.
yes, he breaks his penis. And my husband said, "You can do that?" I was like, yes, I've seen it on Grey's Anatomy.
You definitely can break your penis. It is a real thing. I've just never seen it being broken that way, but 100% yes.
And then we go into the counselor's office, played by Ileana Douglas. Okay. So can I tell you, I was like, how do I know this actress so well? How do I know her so well? So I'm looking through her IMDb and I'm like, nothing's jumping out of like, I watch this movie all the time. That's how I know. I know her because she plays the band manager for Aerosmith's Rock and Roller Coaster at MGM.
Jesus fucking
What?
Christ.
Are you kidding?
But can we talk about the fact that when you break your penis, it's like breaking a bone. You can't just put ice on that shit.
Yeah.
How is he not in the hospital?
Yeah, like it's literally a torn muscle. Like,
I mean, I'm no doctor. I don't know what the ins and outs, but I know that he would be in so much pain.
yeah.
Right.
But instead
And then they
of-
give him meds, right? They just give him a bunch of meds.
Meds.
Tourette's.
They
You
tell
have
him-
Tourette's syndrome. That's your issue.
yes. So number one, why is the counselor like, you're not a qualified medical professional to diagnose Tourette's and be handing out medications.
Right. Where's the pipeline here? Because there's certainly a drug mule situation there.
Right.
Why she has, and does Tourette medication make you sleepy? Like, because he becomes so loopy after taking this medicine, because the next scene we see him, first of all, his dad is there and his dad is listening to this crazy lady about him having Tourette's. That's the first thing, and not saying you need medical attention. Then the next scene is him at the mall.
Okay, hold on.
Which I do want to say, that is my mall. That's the closest mall to me because it was filmed in Austin.
Are you in Austin?
Yes,
Jackie's
I
in
am.
Austin.
Oh, I'm in Austin. I like paused and I was like, honey,
It's Lakeline.
look, it's Lakeline Mall.
Yes, that is my mall.
Yeah, and I was very excited about Lakeline Mall. And then I was like, in the record store scene later, I'm like, is that the Sam Goody that used to be by Macy's? And it was.
It is. It's like an FYE now, but yeah, it's definitely the store. So when my like 10-year-old self saw this, I was like mind blown. I was just, beside myself because of all the like Austin locations and stuff that they filmed this movie in.
Yeah, I was like, that's our mall, honey.
So cool.
So I did have a question. Maybe it's in the extended cut. Why is Zooey Deschanel dressed as a pink cowgirl? I mean, she has a name tag, so I'm assuming it's some sort of like she works there.
Right.
I don't even know. Her outfits in this movie were atrocious, but I guess it's because she's such a cute woman. I think maybe
they wanted her quirky and very
weird.
nerdy and weird.
Yeah,
it was very out there.
So back to the Tourette's medication. So obviously in this scene, why is there just a random fish tank that's kind of open at the top at the mall? I didn't like, when you see this part of the scene, you're like, you don't think it's the mall, you think it's someone's house or something. It's weird. And then you realize he's feeding his Tourette medication to the fish.
Yes.
And it's in the middle of the food court. Like, it's not like a wall display aquarium. It's just like a random 40-gallon in the middle of the food court.
And then, like, so him and his friends are talking, and they're pretty much saying that like his life is ruined and stuff, obviously. But the next scene is insane, because I want to know, why is there a gospel choir at the mall? And why is Gene Simmons, a Jewish man, playing
It's
past preacher?
It absolutely makes no sense, but I love it. I love it.
It doesn't make it.
I feel like this whole scene was just Gene Simmons, like, you know what I want to play? A church pastor that like leads a gospel group.
It is weird.
Yeah.
It is weird. I also was like, there's all these weird black scents happening in these scenes that I don't appreciate at all, because Gil gets up there and starts testifying. He's giving testimony on his life, and he even talks about breaking his dick. It's just like, who wrote this?
The whole catalyst for this scene is Dizzy needs to get arrested somehow. You're in a mall. There's a lot of shit you could do to get arrested that doesn't include just hijacking a microphone from a gospel pastor. It made zero sense. Yeah, it was just cringy all around.
And how long was he in? First of all, you don't just go to prison when you get arrested.
No.
You go to jail and you get a bail hearing or something,
and you get sentenced.
And but you don't just go to prison.
This is Monopoly.
Straight to, but even Monopoly sends you to jail, not prison.
Straight to jail. Well, for that whole black scent, like, weird testimony, straight to jail. That needs to be a TikTok immediately. Like, what the fuck you doing, Dizzy? So yes, this is where he meets Luther and
crazy eyes.
Yes. So Megan, tell us about this scene.
So basically he's trying to teach him how to, I don't know, be tough, I guess, scare people with his eyes. So he's trying to teach him how to do this like whip like eye movement. I don't know how to describe it, but it makes like this funny sound whenever he looks at you, and it kind of like scares people and they move back.
So you do the eye movement and I'll make the sound effect.
Okay,
you ready?
Okay. Yes.
I sounded like I was sneezing.
No, that was really good though. You nailed
Excellent
it.
job, ladies. At least you didn't do the Chandler Bing whoop-ha.
Yeah, you nailed it. And he said, so like his process for like getting that down was, all he had was like, because they weren't together like a lot of the time, so all he had was like a Polaroid of Eddie doing the crazy eyes, and he had to just kind of like replicate it as best as he could from a Polaroid.
I like that when DJ Qualls does it himself, when Dizzy does the thing, he does like this neck roll, and he has a longer neck, so you really feel the motion when he does it.
Really does, yeah.
Well, that's your still for this episode.
No, but yes,
Noted.
It's in the neck. It's in the neck for sure. And also, I learned that like Eddie's all of his lines are mostly improvised,
of
and
course.
like they give him scripts, but he just never follows them, which is fine because he's just hilarious anyway, and it just ends up working out. But yeah, he's just hilarious. He's so funny.
And so the advice that Dizzy gets from Luther is, you got to break all the rules. And Dizzy comes up with this plan, like, oh, Luther tells a story about how he was picked on in his last prison, and so we got transferred and developed the crazy eyes, and now he's like, top dog. And so
gotta hit him with the who's the biatch now.
Exactly.
I love when later at the end of the movie when Jermaine Dupri and who's that with him? Is it Cool
Modi.
Yeah, they try like they
have their rifles,
but they don't do it in sync, so it's like very noticeable that they don't do it in sync. And I'm like, come on, guys, y'all have one line.
Right.
So Dizzy decides, I'm gonna get kicked out of my current high school so I can start over, much like Luther did in prison, so that I can be the cool guy. And so he does all this random stuff. He like very obviously starts cheating. He pulls a toupee off a teacher. He pulls a camera with the longest coaxial cable ever.
The fact that my bae knows the name of the fucking cable.
TV Productions, Danielle. TV Productions. So he pulls the camera like all the way across the school. Ken was like, there wasn't a closer camera like, at this point.
And the teacher in the classroom doesn't even notice
that
he's pulling it.
No, he's just sitting there. And I commend the actor that had to do
Jeffrey Lewis. His name's Jeffrey Lewis. Yeah.
Do this scene of taking a massive shit. And it was very realistic. I felt the pain he was going through having to take this dump.
So the counselor gets involved again and is like, honey, what you doing? Your Tourette's acting up. Here's more meds. And so and the dad's just like, yeah, I'm gonna quit my job. I think this is a little later, but essentially he's like, I'm gonna quit my job and I don't care if we're homeless. I need to spend more time with you. Yeah. And Dizzy's just like, what the fuck?
No, I think that's in this scene. I think
he's like, I'm gonna take care of you full time. He's like, what?
And we don't really get we don't really hear anything else about that whole scenario until later in the movie. There's the trailer.
Yes.
We do see, I think we do have one more scene where they're actually at their house. And then next they're in the trailer. So I'm like, this motherfucker really sold the house.
I mean,
yeah.
So it's this whole thing like, Dizzy, what you doing with your life, man? And then like Luther had told him about he snapped a mop over his knee and like slapped the warden's ass with it or something. So Dizzy is like, last resort, grabs a mop, snaps it, and the principal's like, you destroyed school property. You're expelled. And Dizzy was like, it's that fucking
all I had to do.
Yes.
I got really nervous when he like, why break it to slap his ass? I thought he was going to,
up the ass.
Yeah. And
apparently he had so many bruises all over his legs because he kept having to break several mops on his and they wouldn't break.
I mean, that's kind of hard to break those old school wooden mops.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised he didn't get like a splinter or something. I sound like a mom.
Honey, you're gonna get a splinter breaking all those mops over your knee. So Dizzy, now there's this montage, like he's finally kicked out of his old school. Now he needs to learn how to be cool. And so there's this montage.
So he just walks right back into the prison to get more advice from somebody who's still in prison. He just is walking around in there.
How does this
and also they filmed at a real prison and he had to sign consent forms saying that if anything happened to him, they weren't responsible.
They couldn't find an abandoned prison somewhere.
So like the scenes where they're in the cell and like they're dancing and like talking in like a little cell is like a set, but when they're walking around like outside in like a yard, they're actually filming in a real prison.
Is it the one right past the airport?
I wondered the same thing. Like I was like, what prison is this? I don't know.
So that guy with the mustache that attacks him at first,
crazy ass.
Oh no, I think they're actor. Like everyone.
Well, I know I know he's an actor, but like, why does that happen? Because I don't know if I walked away for a few minutes, but I was like, why is this man beating him up? Did something happen? It's a
I'm not
legit
sure. I think
question.
he like has him do all these things to like toughen him up. Like, I don't know. There's a scene where he's like climbing up a rope and he like sets it on fire and then he like falls down. He's like, just roll around, you'll be all right. Like he's just like making him do all these things just to toughen him up before he like goes to his new school type
Oh,
thing.
so that's why he says that to his dad with the marshmallow thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So the prisoner with the mayo, I can't find who he is. And I think he might be my favorite part of this movie.
Yes.
Why
He
is
just
he
wants his
just
mayo.
why is he just eating mayo? And it's not even a small container. It's like the
Disney brings him more mayo when he visits. He has a tattoo of
huge
mayo on
mayo.
his arm. Like, I love it so much.
is that his prison name?
Mayo? I don't know.
I don't know.
Is mayo currency in this prison?
For him it is. He's trading smokes for huge jars, Sam's Club size jars of mayo.
so random.
It's
So
so
random.
gross. How does he not have the runs? Really?
So Dizzy learns all of these new skills. Luther somehow in prison takes his picture, creates a couple of different fake IDs and like a picture of him and his girlfriend, who is another prisoner who likes to dress in drag, which
Who
I did
is
not.
one of the original queer eye guys.
Oh,
no
really?
way.
Yes.
Wow, I did not know that.
Oh.
Another thing I learned was that Eddie is also a black belt in karate in real life. So a lot of the moves that he taught him were like real fighting moves.
Interesting. Would have never guessed that in 100 years.
Right?
And then there's this weird Horatio Sands cameo for no reason, because obviously Dizzy already has the moves. He has the funk in him. He doesn't need to be taught
He
how
needs
to
some
dance.
choreographed, moves.
Right.
That's all. Which
No, wait, this.
I honestly, I'm always down for a random dance montage in a movie.
Oh, yeah.
So, and Horatio
not-
Sands is hilarious, so I don't care.
Yeah. So he also gets a spider tattoo, prison tat.
Which I'm surprised because it seems like that's a gang, not just
Uh-huh.
being in prison. Because we find out later one of the other characters, forgot the actor's name because but I know he was on the George Lopez show.
Yeah.
Oh, and then when Eddie Griffin Luther is like telling him he has to flare his nostrils, I'm flaring my nostrils. I look over at Ken, he's flaring his nostrils. I'm like, are you flaring? Because I'm flaring over here. It's like, I am.
That's so great.
So after this whole montage, Dizzy gets the haircut, frosted tips. He's ready.
Where'd they
And-
get the bleach from?
Why did they choose the name Gil? That's not a cool name.
Gil
I
Harris.
feel like Dizzy is kind of cooler than Gil.
Yeah, they could have gone for a better name.
Yeah.
Because like Gil is short for Gilbert. Who wants to be a Gilbert?
Because it was like his last name was Gillespie, right?
Yeah.
It was like Dizzy Gillespie Harrison. So they just like cut up his ID and used like Gil
Ah.
from Gillespie and like made it
Look
work.
at you making sense, Megan. Look at you
I was
putting
like,
the
that's
pieces
not
together.
I was just like, that's
Yeah.
not a cool name. So now we are showing up first day of school at the new campus, East Highland High. Why is it always the east side?
Because it's the hood. It's like they saying it but not saying it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And we see it's just chaos. There's no structure. There's very obviously a hierarchy of students, very visually represented, because you go to the top of they didn't call it a hill. What did they call it?
What's that section?
I can't remember.
Like the school is like on the side of a mountain. It seems this hill is so steep that they have to go up, but it's like the cooler you are, the higher up you sit on this hill.
Mhm.
I think they
Um,
missed an opportunity to call it Olympus. I'm just saying.
That's true.
Not the
Right.
brightest.
The prison short bus shows up. And so like not only are all of the prisoners in on this makeover, you got the warden, like the other like prison guards, everyone's helping Gil. Let's help Gil. And so they have him, and it's an obvious parody to Con Air with Steve Buscemi's character, but he's like chained up,
Shout out to Heather.
Shackles.
shackles, the whole 9 yards, and like they're like unlocking him, and then they're like, get in the truck, and like they peace out.
Make everyone all scared.
I love how like he does that bend and pop up reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he does his eye whip so that everyone knows.
And did he get a chance to call his friends to say, yo, I'm gonna be out, skip school, be in that parking lot, y'all about to see
Right.
some
So
shit
they're
go
all
down."
like heads out the window, just like, no way. That him?
I literally was like, shouldn't his friends be at their school right now? They don't seem like the type to skip a
No.
class.
But
And then Zooey says he's got kind of a Brad Pitt thing going on.
what?
You're kind.
Everyone's
Yeah.
delusional today.
Yeah. And then Dizzy says that he is going to go from bitch to bull, baby.
From bitch to bull, baby.
And this is when we see Eliza, how do you say it again?
Dushku.
Dushku's
Yes,
character,
reveal.
Danielle. Yes.
Hello,
She
yes.
is. This is she is the head cheerleader. Gil / Dizzy has notes to find the biggest guy and make sure everyone sees him go down. And so he marches straight up the hill, and it happens to be Danielle's boyfriend, Connor. But the bell rings while he's like having his like verbal confrontation with him, and Connor does punch him, but like Dizzy picks himself back up.
No. You making it a little less than it was. That bitch flew like a rag.
Yeah, they
down.
definitely had to get a body double for that
Yeah.
that part, because he flew down the hill from one punch, just and he just flew.
It
down
was
the hill.
it was like, okay, that's a bit much. So yes, you're right. He does go back up, and then the bell rings while they're having their altercation. And
Yes.
And he does knock him the fuck out, but no one's around to witness. So now he's dragging this passed out high schooler through the halls.
Which he really did, by the way. Like he
Really?
really, yeah. So the guy was just, letting go of like all his weight, and he was having to, he's so small and like tiny, but he was having to pick him up every single time, and he kept dropping him, but they just thought it was funny though, so they just kept it in there.
He did, like, the sweat did look real. There was a lot of sweat equity in
Right,
that
yeah.
scene that I appreciated. So like, yeah, he finally gets him in the school, but it's like everyone goes into the classrooms when he like does his second punch or knockout. And then he's trying to figure out how to get everyone in the hall. So he pulls the fire alarm,
Yes.
but goal achieved. Everyone sees him take out Connor, so he's the cool guy. And then the principal comes out, and he's just like, Connor, like 3 strikes, you're out.
the principal is kind of crazy. The way that he, he's like, give him a round of applause, and then he's like, stop it. And it's just
I
all over
know,
the
he's
place.
crazy.
But Dizzy's like, I started the fight or whatever. And so now, and then he did crazy eyes to everyone in the hall, and
Yes.
apparently scares the principal as well.
I think that was his first Crazy Eyes
Okay.
debut, was in the hallway when he did it to
on his
both.
neck.
And also the sound that they played was from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly during that part. It's like, I don't even know how to do it. I wish. Yes.
Wah, wah, wah.
Exactly. And that was like one of their most expensive budget things of the whole movie, was using that sound in that scene. I
I
learned.
just feel like somebody should have came and redlined some of this budget. Like, we did not need that.
Yeah, I mean, it was silly. It was really silly.
Just get Danielle to make the whip noise and you good.
Yeah, right. I was available at this time to help out get that money.
So now one of Danielle's friends, Courtney, another cheerleader, is like, hey, Gil, how's it going? Come to my party. And he's literally like, I don't do plans.
Well,
and
now, but they're outside now, and he's
Mhm.
playing with this stupid ass
A
lighter,
Zippo, yeah.
and he's not
He's like,
doing well
ouch,
with it.
that was hot.
And so, yes, Courtney and another girl, I don't know what her name is. They go and start flirting with him because he's out at the top of Mount Olympus again,
Mhm.
trying to be cool. And Danielle wasn't going to go up there, but her crazy boyfriend's like, you can't go. And so now all three of them are up there.
I really appreciate her, like, well, I wasn't until you told me not to, and now here I go.
Right.
Yeah. he
Also,
was
I just
very
want to point
controlling.
out that they were supposed to be in high school, like every movie. And even now, I'm just like, those girls are so old. They are
Yeah.
not in high school. Those three girls, but I mean, they're gorgeous. They're beautiful girls, but I'm just like, wow.
There's always like that slutty trope that always happens.
Yeah.
And she is over the top with her
Mhm.
pretty much saying, you can get it.
Right. For sure.
So also in this scene, he's playing with the lighter, but it burns him, so he drops it and like lights the whole like mascot that's made of wood on fire. And so, but he's like walking away from the girls because he just said the thing about like, I don't make plans. And then he turns around and does like the
Yeah, he's like,
And I love how the girls are like, he's just making us so hot. You can't feel a fire behind you. Really?
right.
Y'all are ridiculous. I just can't. I can't.
And so he's now at band practice. He's telling his friends about the day and that he was invited to this party. They kind of encourage him to go. He shows up at the party. He's driving I don't think it's a moped. It's just like a little
It's a Harley.
motorcycle.
It's like a dirt bike type thing, right?
Yeah. It does say Harley Davidson on it, but it doesn't look like a traditional Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
Right. I remember them saying like in all the teen movies, everyone's got like cool cars and they wanted to do something different. So they went with like bike type things. I was like, cool.
A station
Okay.
wagon and a bike. I
Yeah.
love it.
So he shows up. Apparently he can drive the little motorcycle, but he can't stop. And Tony Hawk is there just
Because
doing sick moves.
Why not?
and how old? Okay, so that was the other thing. Tony, how old was Tony in this movie? Because
Like
he was
30.
looking real old.
And he was like, wasn't he like hitting on them at some point?
Yes.
And they were like, "You're too old" or something. Like I don't remember what they said.
She was like, I forgot the blonde girl. She was just like, this is after we saw Gil do the motorcycle. He hits the ramp by accident and lands it somehow. But that's when she like blows him off. Like, Gil is way cooler, Tony Hawk. What?
Yeah.
What?
He was 34 when
See,
this movie came out.
hella old
Wow.
for these high schoolers, even though most of the cast was probably the same age.
And what's funny is like even the director mentioned this in the commentary. It's like he had so much money, like more than he ever knew what to do with. He didn't have to do this movie, but he just chose to, which is so hilarious. Like why this movie out of all movies did he choose to be in this?
I
don't
feel
know,
like
it's
he's
just so
shown
funny.
up a couple of times as like little cameos here and there.
Yeah,
Like every once
he's
in a
not
while,
a bad
you're just like,
actor.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
Every so often, you're just like, huh, Tony Hawk.
What is the girl's name? The blonde girl again? Courtney.
It's Summer Mabry, I think is her name.
Oh, nice. Well, she grabs Dizzy to take him upstairs to get it on. And you could tell Danielle's a little jealous, a little bit. And they don't go to her room, they go to the rooftop. And so my question is this: if Dizzy doesn't fall off the roof like he does in this scene, do you think he would have hooked up with her and instead of Danielle?
No, that was his abort plan. I assumed like he didn't want to be up there with her, and so he was like,
I thought he
think
fell
so,
by
too.
accident.
no.
I think you're right, Jackie. I think he was trying to. It didn't seem like he was, it seems like he was kind of pushing her away a little bit. I got that vibe.
Why did he tell his friends he almost got laid then?
I think because it was just like a flex.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he could have
Something
if
that
he
he's
wanted
not used
to. Yeah, but at the same time, like, he was not ready for that level of commitment at this new school.
Right.
Also, did he fall, like, because obviously he's on top, it looks like a swing set or something. Did he fall on the bar of the swing set? Because that shit would have, oh my God, off the roof, onto the swing set, upside down, still trying to look cool. And then you see our boys.
Yes, there's the scene.
The O'Connell brothers, who also make very random ass cameos in movies, because we all know Jerry was in Can't Hardly Wait, and
Trip McNeely.
Yes.
And I believe his brother has been in like random cameos as well. I can't think of one right now, but I'm going to go look.
Were one of them in one of the Scream movies, or
Jerry was in the second one.
Yeah, so I don't even care what happens in this scene. I just like watching Jerry O'Connell and Charlie O'Connell. But essentially they're kind of jealous of Gil. They start fighting over like they need to do more sit-ups or something. So they're like pulling them, like hoisting themselves up on the swing set, which was totally improvised. They weren't supposed to get up there, but you don't tell the O'Connell boys what to do. You just let them be.
Oh, you know what I remember Charlie from? It's Dude, Where's My Car? I can't wait for us to do that movie. And he had a small part in Cruel Intentions as well. So I think that's probably what it is.
Nice.
Yeah. And so Gil is kind of in front of a crowd, and Connor is confronting him again because Connor is a dick. And so he's like, don't make me do crazy eyes. And he goes to his bike that's like covered in like broken off branches, because he ran into a bush after doing the ramp. And Connor's like, that bike's not going to even start. And so Dizzy's like,
so why does Connor keep testing him? Because right before that, he was like, I bet you never even been with a girl. And that's when he pulls the picture of his cellmate that is dressed in a wig. But then it's like he's always trying to, like, the guy keeps winning. When are you going to give it up?
Yeah.
Never.
Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down.
And so his friends save him. Essentially.
Because the freaking bike starts moving. It's fucked up. Did his friends follow him there, or they just knew he was gonna need help?
Who knows? They knew
they didn't. There was no explanation at all. No context. But that's whenever we hear Bad Mama Jamma for the first time, and that, oh my gosh, I swear that all the music in this was just warms my heart. But
why? Okay, so I know why they have the CD player, so that they can make the sound of the motorcycle, but like it was super weird that then they were playing the music instead of on the car radio. But
that car looked like it was still rocking an 8-track.
Yeah, definitely. And he's like, my mom would kill me or something, because he like took her car, I guess.
He already fucked up this was the other character's car.
Yeah. So now he gets home. The counselor is now at his house with his dad. And I think this is the conversation where dad's like, gotta sell everything, gotta spend more time with you. And Dizzy's like, no, don't do that. That's stupid. And dad's just like, no, it's for you.
And then but the way that the counselor is at the house at this point, we know Dizzy doesn't go to this school anymore. So bitch, why are you there? It's like
Why are you still involved?
Clearly they're in some sort of weird relationship at this point, and it's just like not really talked about. It's just now she's there.
Yeah.
Right.
She's the new stepmom.
Yep.
Moving into the trailer. Taking his Tourette's medicine.
So the next day he talks to Danielle and she's like, hey, can you do me a favor? No one comes to the football games. Will you just show up? Because people will show up if you show up. And so he's like, yeah, sure.
But like, didn't say he's going. So it would be like, how does everyone know that he went to the game?
We just suspend belief for a lot of shit. He also walked into a prison.
Yeah.
You're right. I need to stop. Damn it, Danielle. Stop thinking logical.
So, and then the boyfriend's jealous because she's like asking Gil for favors, and he's like all butthurt about it. And so
they start speaking together, speaking in Albanian together.
Yes.
Yes, they like.
Which is cool that now that we know that Eliza is part Albanian, so it's kind of cool that
they threw that in there.
Yeah,
for sure.
And so now we are at the stadium. There's like hardly anyone there. The cheerleaders are good. They're doing the "How funky is your chicken?" But I mean, they're all in sync. I am, for the most part, all in sync. And
it's okay. But I love that that's the first song they sing, because that is the song they sing in the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, one of the cheers. And I was like, how funky is your chicken? Yes. Your chicken? How loose is your goose? My
so
iconic.
Danielle's boyfriend is there with his friends, but they're drinking under the stand. Oh, sorry. Instead of supporting her and supporting the football team sucks. And so Gil kind of notices this, and he steals the coach's horse and then knocks out someone on the drill team that has like full military dressing.
It's probably someone from what were those people called in high school and college? That
the guard.
ROTC.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
yes.
It's probably that. But before we continue, can we talk about the coach a little bit? What the fuck is going on with the coach? He is yelling all the time. Why the fuck does he have a horse?
It's Texas, Danielle. It's Texas.
I know. But
everyone has guns and horses.
It's such an over exaggeration. It's ridiculous that he has a fucking horse at school.
And also, DJ hardly ever was on the horse at all, because they're so dangerous and unpredictable, and you never know what they're going to do when you're on them. So most of the time it wasn't even him on the horse. They might have gotten like one shot, of him on it, and he probably looks terrified. Even in the movie, like in the one shot, but yeah, especially he was saying that the white horses especially are like skittish to like movement and stuff, so it's like really there was a lot of people out there, so that's scary.
Yeah, it's so scary.
So he does this whole like patent parody. He stands in front of this giant ass American flag, which is touching the ground, which is a huge no-no, and Ken was very upset about. And he like does this big motivational speech. It works. Danielle ends up blowing by her boyfriend to go to Gil to thank him for coming out. And her boyfriend is kind of like, oh, you're just impressed with that? And she's like, no, I'm impressed because he showed up for me, because I asked him to be here. And now here is the most uncomfortable scene of the whole movie that's full of uncomfortable scenes. The weird bathing suit montage at the mall.
Yes.
I
was very torn, because I knew the scene was wrong, but I also love Eliza and all the suits.
I know. She's so gorgeous. Another thing that I also figured out was that DJ actually wasn't even watching her do it. They filmed him separately. So
Well,
like him crying and stuff was all like his acting, which is crazy to me. I'm like, wow, good job. But the fact that she was just doing that by herself with nobody, it's just cringe. But
that makes me feel better that he wasn't
watching
Sitting
her.
like it was two separate.
But there was a whole set of people watching her do that.
It's
so
true.
I feel
Exactly.
bad.
And like we always say, like, it's these days that like all of the high up execs probably show up with their personal cameras. Like, oh yeah, we need to make sure this shoot's going well.
Right.
And then he has like the lollipop and the gum. And I'm just like, we didn't need to make it even weirder.
Yeah.
It's funny because when she did an interview on Late Night for this movie, she had done a Maxim magazine spread, and it's the iconic one with her and the silver pants. If you know, you know.
Yes. Yes, I do.
But she said that she's just having a hard time because every time she was trying her best to wear as much clothes in that as possible. And she did get her way in the sense that she was wearing pants, but she said every time they're like, oh, we left your outfits in the dressing room. And she said there were red hot pants. So it's like a red and silver theme, red hot pants and 2 CDs. They wanted her to hold the CDs.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so she said, fuck no.
She didn't do that. No, yeah. I was
she didn't.
Wow.
I feel so bad. Like just the things that these women had to endure during that time. And I mean, you think about just
so many of them did it too,
Yeah, I mean, because it was a lot of fear, right? They worked so hard to have these careers and to make it. And they felt like they didn't have any options. And if you said no or whatever, you were deemed difficult. And
good for her though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if her sticking up and being, strong-minded about things hurt her trajectory, because I'm still surprised that she didn't get to do more,
I'm sure that, she, I don't know, that seems to happen a lot in Hollywood when people are difficult, so to speak, which that's just what they call it. It's the same thing with like, Katherine Heigl. There's rumors that like, and it's probably not that they're hard to work with or difficult. It's just that they said no to something. And that was that.
I mean,
they set boundaries.
Exactly.
So now we are at Sam Goody over by the Macy's, and
at least they had the B2K song though, I will say that.
Yes.
So this is where we get our Vanilla Ice cameo wearing an ICP t-shirt and a promotional badge for his 98 new metal album Hard to Swallow. And he's like this ex-bouncer working at Sam Goody, still trying to bounce poor Zooey Deschanel that's just listening. She's had a hard day. She just wants to listen to some music.
Don't you remember? Oh my God.
I do. Oh my gosh. For me, it was Hastings. Like that was my store, was Hastings. And I used to just go in there and put the headphones on, just pick any album that just came out and put the headphones on and just sit there and listen to it. And then I would go look at like movie posters and like I miss Hastings so much. Hastings was my shit growing up. And that's what it reminded me of.
I've never heard of that. I've never heard of Hastings.
No way. Oh my gosh.
Maybe it was only in Texas.
Yeah, probably.
Or
maybe.
South. Texas and other
in the South, maybe.
We're from Florida, but we had Sam Goody, and I remember going to the Coral Square Mall and obsessed with the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack. When we do that movie, the time spent on just me talking about that soundtrack, I listened to Love Me.
Loveful?
Oh yeah. That's what
the Cardigans.
Yes. Over and over. I'd walk in and I'm like, we already know. love me, say. I just obsessed. And then my mom was like, you need to stop. Buy the fucking album. Just buy it.
Right.
And I did. And I listened to it all the damn time. I'm going to listen to it tonight. It's so good.
That's awesome.
This is where Gil is still hanging out with Danielle, but then his friends are there.
Dick moves.
And they're like, hey, how's it going? And Danielle's like, oh, do you know these people? And Gil goes, no. I'm sorry. What?
Yeah.
Like, all you had to say are like, oh, these are my really good friends from my old school. She knows you just transferred.
Right.
But he's also kind of embarrassed by them because they're a quirky little bunch.
I don't think I could ever forgive him for that.
No.
I think
Right.
that hurt my feelings watching it.
But then we also see working at the Sam Goody is Emily, who is a past friend of Danielle's. So at the end of the movie, she reconciles with Emily because essentially she became like a cool, pretty popular girl and dropped Emily. And so she apologizes for that later on.
And Gil kind of like, you could see that he's almost like, he gives her good advice and he's kind of judging her in that moment when he sees the interaction and he asks like, who is this person, you know? And she's like, oh, it kind of just, you know, lost touch. And he's like, oh, you should try to like get back, you know, reacquainted, and then turns the fuck around and says, I don't even know. I'm sorry. I don't know that man. I've never seen him before in my life.
And the friends are such petty bitches. And I love
my
it.
gosh, yes.
They get on the loudspeaker and they're like, we got some lost balls and scrotum here. Has
Balls
anyone
and
lost
scrotum.
balls?
And he's hiding now because as he's trying to leave, his old bully is there.
Yes. There's so much going on in this scene. And so then the next scene is band practice. Zooey Deschanel is performing Mr. Big Stuff with hate in her heart for Gil.
I do love that she does sing all of her songs in their band performances.
Yeah. And so does DJ.
Oh, nice.
And I also heard that Eliza is a really good singer too, and they wanted her to sing in this movie. They just didn't get a chance to make that happen, which I didn't know that she sang at all.
I'm surprised because at this time she was having some vocal issues, because we all love that she's got like that deep raspy voice, but she like broke her vocal cords. And so she had to have, you know, kind of lessons to make sure that she was speaking at a higher pitch, because if she didn't, it was really ruining her vocal cords, how low.
Wow.
Yeah. Next, there's this weird throwaway scene of the principal's office, and Gil is called in and they think they've like found him out. And it turns out the coach is just pissed that he stole his horse. And somehow I don't know, checked out for this scene, but essentially the end result is that their band is going to play at homecoming.
I don't know if they were, Megan, were they like trying to get morale up or something? What was this conversation? It was super
Not
weird.
sure. It seemed like they were like, hey, you did a really good job, you know, getting the school spirit up, basically, you know, like we won our first game type thing, you know. And then they're like, what else can we do? I don't know. It was a weird conversation. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But then he was all like, well, you know, music or something, you know, it's like we could bring in I don't know, something like that. It was really weird.
This funk band I know that I happen to be lead singer of. So he goes into band practice. She's angrily singing Mr. Big Stuff. And he's like, hey, we're headlining at homecoming at my new school. Yeah. And he does apologize and he calls himself an asshole. And so like, they're kind of just like, they haven't fully forgiven him, but he did get him a sweet gig at homecoming.
Yeah.
So,
and then we get like, I don't know if it's directly after this scene, but we do get a montage of him incorporating his friends into his life at school. And again, do people not have their own classes to get
like,
to?
what? Yeah.
And it is like him, not only with his friends, but like other groups of people like that had fights and stuff. Like essentially he's just bringing the school back together and to be like a cohesive unit again.
Yeah, well, that's really because his friends do call him out and say, okay, well, if you're this popular, what are you going to do with it? Are you no better now than the people that picked on you?
Yeah.
Now that you have this power. With great power comes great responsibility.
Okay, Mary Jane.
Who says the
I
line?
know.
Aunt
Okay,
May.
Uncle Ben and
Well,
Aunt
Aunt
May,
May.
depending
On
on
wait,
which movie you see it.
Ooh, did I scoop you on some Marvel, Danielle?
No, not
Feeling
really.
good.
I was just doing the more recent, and you
Mm.
did the old school version. No problem.
So then we have seen Ed a little bit prior. He is a little person. He plays the tuba. And this is when the movie goes into full let's make fun of little people mode. And I hate it. Because Ed's a nice guy. Like, why are you picking on him? Gil comes to his rescue and like essentially carries Ed up the Mount Olympus. And like everyone is just like looking. The cowboys take their hats off and like a salute. Danielle is noticing that Gil is doing this really nice thing. And then Gil confronts Connor about picking on Ed.
He's basically bringing everyone together, all the
Yeah.
groups, all the cliques, making
Exactly.
them one.
And Danielle goes and she it's like we are the world now. She goes
Mhm.
down all the way down to the bottom of Olympus to go hug her friend she's ignored for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And she also breaks up with Connor in the scene because she finally realizes that Connor's a douchebag.
I thought like she should have broken up with him at that football game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we have another montage. The football team is winning. Everyone's
montages.
friends. Then we get the scene of Gil and his dad talking outside of their new home, the trailer.
Nothing funnier in this movie than the fact that the dad sold the house. And like if I wasn't paying attention, I would have just thought they always lived in this fucking trailer.
I know.
Y'all
it makes no
camping?
sense. Y'all camping?
And then Gil is like swinging a marshmallow and hits his dad, and the marshmallow is aflame. And so dad is now on fire, and he's just like, oh, just drop, and roll. And like what this brings me back to is Dennis the Menace with Walter Matthau, where he gets the flaming marshmallow to the forehead.
So you've seen that movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't add up. I carry the one.
I-
Plus two. No.
It's you go to grandma's house and you watch what she had on VHS. Dennis the Menace just happened to be one of those movies.
Right.
Oh, the peanut butter twins.
So now Gil goes to Danielle's job that we didn't know she had, in like this
Which is the
honky-tonk.
Copeland Dance Hall.
I knew it was a honky tonk of some kind.
Yeah. Yes.
And
in the middle of nowhere.
it's closed, and Danielle's just riding the bull for funsies.
Or we got underage bar workers now.
Yeah.
So in the state of Texas, you can serve, but you can't pour when you're 18. So if she's a senior, she could have potentially been a waitress.
Wild,
Yes.
wild west out in this bitch, I tell you.
And it was her idea to wear a bandana as a top, by the way, which, whew, that blew my mind.
I was like, that's not a lot of fabric to fit around.
It really is. Like,
Well,
think
seriously,
about-
seeing her in that bandana as a top, riding that bull, literally made me question my sexuality at a very young age. Like,
Yes.
I was just like, wow. So yeah, that happened.
So our Gil goes in, and Estelle is, I guess, an old friend of Danielle's mom's that works the bull at this establishment. And she's very judgy of Gil, which
My question is, Estelle, where the fuck were you when she was dating the other loser?
mhm,
Good question. Yes.
That's
He
all
probably-
I thought about.
she probably never even met him because he was such a self-involved douchebag. He probably never went to her place of business to
Right.
visit her.
I can imagine he went for some free tater tots.
Totally.
Ooh, tater tots. Gil is like trying to confess to Danielle like what is actually happening, and he's just dizzy, essentially. She makes
He's like,
him
I'm
ride.
not who you think I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she...
I'm not who you think I am. And she's like, I don't care. Your past is your past, basically.
Yeah.
Where is that same energy at the end, though?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So but like she makes him get on the bull. Estella's not being kind as the bull operator. It's so weird.
This movie should be called Ragdoll Flying. The amount of times this man is flown.
He said he took a beating during this movie. He said,
"Oh my god,
they threw him around a lot."
Oh. And then there's a part in this scene where they almost kiss, but Estelle still working that bull disrupts that. And then Gil also finds out that his old school is playing his new school, and he's like, shit, people can't find out.
And he tries to back out. He's like, I'm not going to the game, but they convince him that they need his help. So
yeah, so the state championship game is happening. There is no one in the stands for East Highland High. And we see over the hill are all the fans and all the football players and the cheerleaders. And Gil with everyone's got face painting like Braveheart. And Gil has the claymore, which Ken verified that is actually the Braveheart sword.
Yes.
Resident swordsmith.
It's the same paint too. They found out what the paint was and used the same paint.
So obviously Gil is there to motivate the team, and everyone charges down the hill. Do they end up winning? Yes. So they end up winning the state championship, but Barclay, the bully from the other school,
name is Barclay.
I didn't know that either.
I thought they were saying I thought they were saying Berkeley the whole time.
Berkeley, that's what I thought it was.
No, it's Barclay, because we were watching with the subtitles on. And I'm gonna triple check. I'm
looking now.
Okay.
Wow, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, I didn't either. I'm trying to find his name because clearly.
So he notices him.
I do love the representation that we get a black guy bully where it's usually not.
Yeah.
Right. Again, did not look like he was in high school either.
No.
None of these schools.
As grown man.
Yes.
Like, just like, how many times did you get left back situation?
So he's like accusing Gil of stealing his championship game and stuff. And I'm like, how did Gil do this? Because he like motivated some people.
He pulled a ladybug scene, you know, the girl who loved the butterflies and started with like spacing out. He does that. He's so enamored by watching Gil trying to figure out like, where do I know him from, that he misses the pass in the game. That's your fault.
That's not on Gil.
No.
Yeah, Amir Baraka as Barclay.
Wow.
Barkley.
Okay.
And now it's like this role reversal where the old school is kind of chaos and this new school is civilized, and they back up Gil and they're like, you need to back off. But then Connor kind of takes Barclay aside and is like, hey, tell me what you know.
Hold on.
Right, because he puts Ed in a barrel and rolls him down a hill.
Which, when you see that scene, it's like 100% a doll.
And he really was in the barrel.
Was he?
Well.
Because
He
the
really was in
the legs look like,
when he flies through the air, total like ragdoll, but in the barrel.
But when it shows him, like there's a clip where it shows him inside the barrel rolling. So that he was definitely in the barrel.
But when they fuck him up, so pretty much, you know, Gil's like, okay, I'm gonna do this. He's got Tiger Claw ready, and before he could even do anything, they like beat his ass up. But not just beat him up, they pulled this motherfucker's underwear up and it's
Yep.
like over his face. I'm just like, how?
But then they're like,
how?
we don't do that here. We don't do that.
Right. I think it's kind of like that whole I'm pretty chill and cool, but don't fuck with me.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Barclay and Connor kind of go off to talk about Gil. And now it's homecoming. But they notice like half of the old school Rocky Creek is there. And it's because Barclay and Connor have devised this master plan to tell everyone that Creed is performing,
Right.
to get them all there and out Gil.
Was this at the time when Creed was just so it's not ironic, but it's
Yes.
really like people
And
wanted to see this?
we did miss an iconic line that I don't know why this has always stuck with me, but when they're in the video music store or whatever, she's like, Eliza's like, she asks the employee like, do y'all have the new Creed CD? And it's like a main line. She's like, do y'all have the new Creed CD? And I'm just like, what?
Lines that did not age.
Wow.
And Tommy Lee shows up with two girls on his arm. So fucking random.
He looks like he's gonna laugh in his scene.
Yeah.
He looks like he's like, yeah, I know this shit's stupid, but I'm here.
Right? Oh my God.
And then why is Zooey Deschanel dressed like Velma from Scooby-Doo in this scene?
But if you look at the sides of her dress, I feel like there's like cutouts or something.
It
Yeah.
was
looked a little-
short.
It
It
looked a little
was.
sassy on the side.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was
It
like,
was-
are we
it was
getting
sassy.
side boob? Okay.
It
It's
was
got like
sassy
this like
Velma.
fluffy collar,
Yes.
like this like feather collar.
It's from Velma's sassy but
Oh,
sexy line.
Velma's lingerie line.
Yeah.
So
But then they
they
perform the Wild
Yes.
Cherry song.
because of course you would have Dizzy sing "Play That Funky Music, White Boy."
100%.
I mean, he pulls it off.
Casey and the
It
Sunshine
was
Band
so
all
good. I
day.
was jamming so hard to that as a kid and earlier today.
And then the curtain opens up behind them. Gospel choir from Gene Simmons' church.
From the mall.
I just want to
From
meet
the mall.
one person who was in this scene as one of the choir
Me
singers.
too.
I
If
just
one of
wanna
y'all are
know.
out there, I hope you're listening. to this.
Yes, please.
Oh my God.
And then so after that, all of the equipment stops, and then there's the video of Dizzy tied up with the rubber breasts on, and they're like, "This is your Gil." No one fucking cares.
First and foremost,
They're
why
like,
did
get
they
back
just,
to the music.
Why did
Yeah.
they just have that ready? Like, how did they have that? Because now all the prison system is oh, they brought it to do it
Yeah.
to Dizzy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then the prison system shows up.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all there at the high school dance.
To support
Like, what?
Dizzy.
Well, because the warden likes the music.
Oh yes.
Henry Rollins loves the
Mhm.
music. Not Dizzy's music, just the music, the
Mhm.
funk.
The fuck.
So now Gil comes clean and he's like, "Yeah, that was me. Like, but like, this is me now." Blah blah blah. And everyone starts booing him. I'm like, "You
broke
Yeah,
dick,
broke dick, broke dick.
broke dick.
like you beat up another football player for him just like the day before, and now you're gonna turn on him because he used to be geeky but is not anymore." Like,
These hoes ain't loyal.
Yeah.
And now Nora, Zooey Deschanel's character, has this major confession that she's been in love with someone. You think it's Dizzy, and then she turns around and starts making out with Glenn, and they get real sloppy real fast.
And he checks her armpits.
Yes. Like if it
Hmm.
wasn't shaved, were you gonna
What
be
are you
like,
gonna do?
nah? Like,
Okay, can we highlight Glenn's character for a second? How homophobic his scenes were, because he would say things and be like, is that gay? Is that gay?
Yes, he
Is
would
that
always say
gay?"
that. And then whenever she said he's got a Brad Pitt thing going on, he's like, kind of an Anne Heche thing going on too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? And then he's like, did that sound gay? Yeah, he kept
But
saying that.
that's the 90s and 2000s. It's just
Yes.
so homophobic and
Yes.
and just having tons of jokes about it. And it's so cringe.
Yes.
So
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 cringe.
cringe. So Danielle looks upset in the crowd, but then she shows up backstage to talk to Gil, and then she confesses that like she was kind of ugly duckling into a cheerleader
Dan
swan.
the man. Dan the man.
Can
And
we
she looks so beautiful in that scene. I
Yeah.
love that scene with the lights. That used to be my profile picture.
yeah, but also it feels like she's a cat seeing the shiny things, because she like does a roll move with it. She's touching the other wall. I'm like, is she on E? What's happening right now? Did anyone
Yeah.
notice that? Like, she just
Yeah.
wasn't standing still in that
She's
scene, or
being
like
very weird. Yeah.
just walk towards him. It was just like, and then I'm gonna touch the lights, and then I'm going to touch the wall.
It was an
It
artistic
was.
choice.
Yeah.
It was just like, bitch, if you don't get through this scene, I'm dizzy.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're right. It was very, very awkward.
So after her confession, she's like, essentially, I can't be mad at you because I did the same fucking thing.
These
And
are
then
my
they kiss.
confessions.
And then
You
you
and your
see
R&B references. Love it.
And then we see the prisoners or the guards have taken care of Barclay and Connor, and now they've got the rubber breasts on, all tied up in dresses.
Shake them titties, girls.
And then this is where the story concludes, and you find out Luther was telling this story to David Hasselhoff
In
the
jail,
whole
right?
time. Yes.
What
I don't
He
know.
was apparently visiting him or something.
Telling him
What?
the story about this kid's life.
Like, why do I care? And then during the credit scene, there's bloopers. I love a credits with bloopers. But then there's this weird right off into the sunset on the coach's horse, and then Danielle falls off.
And it
Yeah.
wasn't them.
Oh,
I just found that out
really?
earlier when I was watching that, and I was like, man, that kind of ruins it for me, because I didn't know that it wasn't them. I thought it was always them, but it wasn't.
And that is the new guy.
I do want to say that the name of this movie in Spain is Los Feos También Mojan. Okay, I said that really bad.
Yeah.
But the ugly guys also get laid.
Yes, I was also gonna say that too. Yes, the ugly guys also get laid.
And I apologize for my horrible pronunciation.
I'm gonna make Laura call in to the quick drop and pronounce it correctly.
What? Yes, please. Because okay, Los Feos. I took 4 years of Spanish.
I know.
This is so
Same.
tragic.
I took 0, so can't blame me.
También Mojan.
So let's see.
Before we get into our ratings, Megan, why don't you tell everyone your social handles so they can go check out your page on Instagram?
Okay, my blog page is at 1999 Vibes with 2 I's, and my movie collection page is at Tape Girl with 2 I's as well. So yeah, if you want to follow me, that's where you find me.
And you can always check us out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube at No More Late Fees. All right, Megan, I doubt we're going to be surprised, but what is your rating, your current day rating?
Current day rating, it's still the same. I own this movie on every format you can own it on.
VHS,
VHS, DVD, the director's cut DVD. I even have a DVD that is The New Guy and Can't Hardly Wait combo. I will always buy this movie if I see it out in the wild. And I think it just has like nostalgic ties for me. I can see somebody watching it nowadays and being like, what? This doesn't like it. there's a lot of jokes that just don't age well in this
Yeah.
movie, but watching it for the first time when I was like 10 or 11, it was so funny. I probably pissed my pants watching it. And like I said, the music alone was just enough for me to just love it, fall in love with it, you know. And of course, Eliza is just always fun to watch.
Yes, she
So.
is.
Yeah.
I it's not changing. I'm sorry. It's still
Same
the same
day.
day rental. I mean, I may watch the little boy boogieing down at the beginning.
It's a 2-day rental for me. I probably would, like, if it just shows up on TV, and I might just have it on in the background. There were I can say there were moments where I did laugh out loud because it was just so fucking stupid. But I think just us going through this always happens when I hate the movie or when I'm watching it and I'm just like, God, when is it over? But then we do the episode and I have so much fun retelling and talking about it that it makes me think I like the movie now.
Seriously,
So.
this just, if anything, this just made me love it more. Like, honestly, it's bad. Yeah, I love this movie so much.
Well, if you agree what we have to say, or you want to properly tell us how to pronunciate the Spanish that I botched, please don't laugh at me. I tried really hard. Then you should hit up our quick drop. What's the number, Jackie?
909-601 NMLF 909-601-6653. You can also twat us at the Twitter or leave a voicemail at our Anchor FM account. Give us feedback, like Danielle said. Tell us or give us some corrections, how to correctly pronounce that name in Spanish. Suggest future movies. Tell us your blockbuster video stories, favorite moments, and you could be featured on a future episode.
And join us next week for the Hilary Duff movie, Raise Your Voice.
Nice.
And as always, be kind and rewind.